Hello everyone. The topic of the day is AsiaPay. So for those tuning in, good afternoon. Hope you can see my screen here. So I'm Raphael. I'm a functional consultant here at Odoo Hong Kong office. And today, the main agenda of today is AsiaPay. So we go through what is AsiaPay, the kind of small setup that we have to do, a small demo on making a purchase and how the information is transacted in AsiaPay, some limitations, and at the end we'll have a live Q&A. So at any time, feel free to post your Q&A in the comments. So we can just dive in here. So what is AsiaPay? So AsiaPay is just like a platform where from one platform we support multiple countries and multiple payment methods. So most of them is credit and debit cards. There's some specific bank accounts or some specific types of payment transactions that are supported in AsiaPay for specific countries, and some digital wallets. So from one single platform, we can capture much more kind of payment transactions and countries. So these are just like a small preview of what is available in AsiaPay. So the main thing to note is that if you want to see what is supported in each country or in your country, you may need to contact AsiaPay directly and to see which payment transactions are or which payment methods are available in your country. So you can see we generally said that we supported all payment methods, but up until Odoo 16, we support the ones on the left. So these are the list of countries that are available right now in Odoo 16. But for the ones on the right, for example, for Indonesia, the Philippines, and Thailand, they will only be available in Odoo 16.2. So that may come a little bit later. So those are being currently developed. So before I go into the workflow, I just want to mention like why we are using AsiaPay. So from a technical standpoint, we can have one API to capture multiple payment methods. And from a more kind of general point of view, is that we want to provide more methods for our clients to reach a wider audience. So from the e-commerce, they can reach a wider customer base, and they'll enable them to basically capture more sales because their customers have more ways to pay on their e-commerce website. So just following along here. So essentially what will happen is that on Odoo's side, we'll basically kind of transfer the information into AsiaPay. So it'll be kind of like a portal kind of view. And from there, they will complete and choose the payment transactions from AsiaPay side. So I will show you that a little bit later. So in terms of costs, on Odoo side, it is pretty much free. So we already enabled the payment method in Odoo. But for AsiaPay, it is a subscription-based model. So to get more accurate costs for integrating AsiaPay, you may need to contact AsiaPay sales directly, as they have, based on the country, the sales volume, the kind of payment methods that you're going to use, the cost will be different. So for that, it's better to contact AsiaPay directly. So I can just going through the setup here now. So let me just move on to the database here. So I created a database here, which includes the e-commerce and website. So there is two kind of setup that we have to do. We have to basically copy some things from AsiaPay into Odoo, and we need to copy some things from Odoo into AsiaPay. So let's just go into the dashboard, AsiaPay dashboard as well. So let me just sign in here as well. So both information can be shown. So this is your AsiaPay or Pay Dollar dashboard more specifically. So there's two information that we will need to transfer from AsiaPay to Odoo. So I'll just open it up here first. So the first one is your merchant ID. And at the very bottom, it will be your secure kind of hash key. So that one I can't show you, but at the very bottom here, there is a long sequence of numbers and letters that you will need to copy from here. So on the Odoo database, I'm just going to go to website, payment providers. And as you can see here, I already installed and activated AsiaPay. So you need to click on install, such as for these ones, and install first. But here you can see there's kind of two fields that we need to fill in on Odoo side. So it's the merchant ID and the secure hash secret. So for that, we will copy it from here, merchant ID, and at the very bottom, there'll be a secure hash key. So we need to copy that and just paste them here. And for the rest of configuration, I believe you may need to set up a payment journal. So this is mostly more for accounting, like which journal you want to record these transactions in. And another important field is the currency. So the currency is the one set by your AsiaPay account. So if you have any kind of multi-currency environment, then for AsiaPay, they will need to choose one, and that will be like your base currency. So Odoo, in this case, we will need to transact in euros so that the correct payment methods will be shown that are applicable for European or Euro transactions. Then on the Pay AsiaPay side, we have another configuration that we have to do, and it's here. We need to go to the profile, payment account settings, and go to the return value link. So here we will need to copy and paste our Odoo database URL. So in this case, it's asiapaywebinar.odoo.com. We need to paste that here, but then append this link here, /payment/asiapay/webhook. So this will tell AsiaPay which database is where you want to activate AsiaPay for. So after we paste this, we can click on test. And the important thing to note here is the result. So you can see here the result is success. So we have successfully linked that Odoo database to the AsiaPay account. So for both sides now, it is fully configured. So that is pretty much it for the setup. So it's pretty simple. Just copy some things from AsiaPay into Odoo and just copy the URL into AsiaPay. So now I'm going to go into the workflow, but let me log out here because AsiaPay has a lock if you leave it idle for too long. So I'm just going to go to the website, and I just have one product here, e-commerce product. So you can see that the currency is set to euros. So if there's any other currency set, it may show different or may not show any payment methods applicable to be paid using AsiaPay. So in this case, our testing account is set to euros. Let me just add it to cart. Oh, we already have two, so let me just make it to one, process checkout. So you can see here, I already filled in the billing and shipping address, but here you can say pay with, and here it's a credit card powered by AsiaPay. So depending on what you subscribe with AsiaPay and the currency set on your payment method, the options here may be different. So for now, it is just a credit card. So I'm going to go ahead and pay now. So now you can see we are pretty much in the AsiaPay portal. So the information has been passed on to AsiaPay, and we will complete the transaction using the AsiaPay portal. So I have a test credit card that I will use now. So let me just copy the information down. So I'm just adding the information here. CVV, submit. So you can just, there's a pop-up here saying if you want to check the information if it's correct. You can click on OK. And depending on the method used, you may have a OTP. So OTP may be generated here. So in this case, it has one. So we're going to submit that. So on AsiaPay side, it says that the transaction has been completed. So the important thing now is to continue. So the confirmation will be passed from AsiaPay back into Odoo. So you can see that they are processing the payment. Just wait a little bit. And you can see the order has been confirmed. So that is pretty much the complete flow. So now that we completed the transaction with AsiaPay, it has been passed back into Odoo. And Odoo has logged that for this sales order, it has been paid using AsiaPay. So now the flow is pretty much complete. Let me just go back to the slides. So in terms of workflow, there's also some limitations. So the first one, as you can see in the AsiaPay configuration, we can only support one return data feed at each time. So at this point, we can only, from AsiaPay side, we can only support one Odoo database. So what this means is that if you have a multi-e-commerce environment for each database, you may need to have multiple merchant accounts with AsiaPay. So this is quite an important thing to note. And right now, we currently disabled the buy now, pay later method, as we will still need to figure out on Odoo side how to handle those kind of transactions. So also in terms of testing, we cannot test every bank and payment method supported by AsiaPay. So it's better to contact AsiaPay directly and really communicate with them what payment methods are available in your specific country and the kind of currencies that is available. And yeah, all that information is better to be confirmed with AsiaPay. As on our side, we only provide the API in this case, in technical sense. We just pass the information back into AsiaPay, and that information will be checked with AsiaPay and not really on Odoo side. So as I mentioned before, also the payment providers are based on your currency. So the currency set on the payment provider is what Odoo will use to filter out what payment providers are available for that specific transaction. And if there's any errors in the transaction, Odoo will just show a generic kind of code for the error. So if you want more specific information, you could look into that in your AsiaPay dashboard. So you can see here, we just made a sample transaction where we put the wrong CVV number. So as you can see here, it is a rejected status, and you can also see the reason. So if you go inside this transactions, you can see the reject reason. So in order to view this, you can go here, transactions, and you will see a list of transactions. You may need to play around with the filters to show the rejected or all for today or the past days. And you may be able to see the errors, if any, for the transactions. So this is important to note if your clients are wondering what happened with their transaction. You may be able to check it from your AsiaPay dashboard. So I think that is pretty much it for the setup and workflow. So now I'm open to any questions that you may have. I'm going to check in the chat box. So the Q&A, would this session be recorded? Yep, it will be recorded and shared afterwards. What would happen if users do not click on the button continue? So I believe if you do not click on continue, basically the transaction will be canceled. So after you go into the AsiaPay and the very last step to click on continue, there's also a cancel button. If you do not click continue or cancel or just close the page, Odoo may not continue the transaction. But I believe if the session is still valid, if you repay or go to pay now, AsiaPay may continue the previous session. So it may save the information and you may continue it. But for this, it's better to test it out. But I believe, yeah, transaction will not go through. Yep, just open to your questions here. Can I demo that now? I believe I can. Let's have a try here if we have a little bit of time. So let me just redo the transaction here. You put the CVV. So I think you want to demo if I close this or do not click continue. So in this case, maybe I just close it. Maybe I'll just, or maybe I'll try refreshing the page. So you see that there's an error that you need to confirm the transaction, resubmit the information. I think in this case it's okay, but maybe in another case I'll open another tab and close this one. So you can see the cart has been emptied. So on the back end, let me see in our sales orders. Okay, I think it's still, the transaction still goes through. So I think in this case it's okay. Does this support recurring payment? I think for this, it depends on, I guess, which side you're doing the recurring payments. So either on Odoo side or on AsiaPay side. So on Odoo side, yes, we can support recurring payments. So that's like a subscription model. So for that, Odoo will just keep charging the same card. So that's also related to the payment tokens, where we can save the information on our end, and it will just keep charging the same card in AsiaPay, or the one used in AsiaPay. So yeah, it should be available. When to expect 16.2 for Thailand payments? For this, it's hard to say right now. So right now, Odoo, yeah, we just released 16.1. So any new databases right now will be in 16.1. So for 16.2, I'm not sure when it will come out, but maybe in a few months' time, it should be available. So when 16.2 is going to be released, yeah, we will announce when 16.2 will be released. And for any new databases at that time, those countries should be supported. Okay. Will the customer see the message from Microsoft Edge? How has detected an unsafe link while using AsiaPay and Odoo? For this, I'm not sure. I haven't tested it using Microsoft Edge. For this, I'm not sure because you will have to transact, like complete the whole flow in Microsoft Edge using the e-commerce website and making a payment. Because I don't think you will post any link directly to AsiaPay. If someone wants to pay that sales order, you could send a link from Odoo, but then they'll go through the same process, right? You can pay using AsiaPay, and then the whole process will be passed to AsiaPay from there. The portal name is PayDollar. Can the domestic payment work in another currency? For this, I believe it depends on what is the currency set in AsiaPay. So with AsiaPay, you will choose the currency because sometimes maybe, you may be in Vietnam, but you want to transact in USD. For that, it's something that you need to ask AsiaPay because maybe they will disable or enable those other currencies in your merchant account. So that's something you'll need to ask AsiaPay. How about the fee charged by AsiaPay? So for this, it depends on your account as well. Per country and per kind of account, they may have a different charge applied. So that's something we also need to ask AsiaPay directly. So since they run a subscription model, their costs will be based on your sales volume, the country, the payment methods that you want. So for certain payment methods, it may be a higher cost to others. So for that, it's better to ask AsiaPay because on Odoo side, we don't have this information. Yeah, any more questions? I'll just wait a little bit longer in case you have any more questions. If not, we will close the webinar. So feel free to post. Maybe I'll just wait one more minute. Some AsiaPay statement fetching will be available. For that, I think you will directly go to your AsiaPay dashboard, where depending on the model that you have, they may do an instant statement, or it may be like a monthly statement seeing your incoming and outgoing transactions from AsiaPay. So if that is what you're asking, you may also see all your real-time transactions happening using AsiaPay. So you'll be able to see that from your AsiaPay account. Yeah, I'm not sure what you mean by statement fetching, like PayPal. I think what you mean is the list of transactions. I think for this, technically Odoo does record all your payments done in the DB. So if you had an accounting app, you could see all your payments made. So it will be made to the bank journal. So from there, you could see all the successful kind of payments made using the e-commerce. So for the bank sync, that is not something that is really covered at the moment. Odoo won't bank sync with AsiaPay because the bank may not be the one it may not be available with online synchronization in Odoo. So the bank account you sign up with AsiaPay, maybe it's not supported, or you also need to set it up in Odoo in order to be tested. So the quick answer is maybe No, but it is possible with further configuration, I think. So you can see here, there is a list of payments done. So if only using invoicing, there is a list of payments. So how to do the reconciliation, that's also something maybe is out of topic, but the assumption is that right now in this kind of configuration, there is no reconciliation. Basically, we just say that we made a payment and that's it. So in terms of accounting, you'll probably do that separately with AsiaPay. But theoretically, you can also, if you had an accounting app and it's in the bank journal, you could also set up, manual or automatic synchronization of that bank account, assuming it's the same one you signed up with AsiaPay. I thought the banks listed as partners are already linked to Odoo. It's country by country. Some countries support some banks, some countries do not. The assumption is that, yes, if the bank account you sign up in Odoo and do the online synchronization is the same one also you signed up for in AsiaPay, then technically you could do it that way. But that's a little bit more out of the scope at this moment. Yeah, not sure if you have any more questions. Yeah, the only thing I could say right now is Odoo does record those payments here and it's posted to the bank journal. So if the bank account, if you have the accounting app, you could also import the statements. If it's the same bank account as in the one in AsiaPay, then yes, you could import or do online synchronization with the same bank account. So then Odoo, you could do some reconciliation between the payments made in Odoo and the kind of transactions in the bank statement. So the another thing I'm not sure at this moment is when AsiaPay posts your payment to your bank account, I don't know if it's line by line or if it's a consolidated charge. So some payment methods or some payment acquirers, they make a bulk deposit to your bank account for all the transactions of the month. So I think it's a similar case with Stripe, for example, where they'll make a bulk deposit into your bank account. So for that, the reconciliation may be a little bit different. Yeah. Yes, AsiaPay only provides the method in order for your customers to pay. It is not the method in order to do the reconciliation or import your statements. So that it's done separately. So the scope right now is just to capture payments. For banks, organization, things like that, it could be done, but that's probably a topic of another time. Yeah, I'm not sure if there's any specific questions that you have. I think in this case, we can end the webinar session. So thank you all so much for your time. Yeah, feel free to contact us if you have any more information. Yeah, you can go to odoo.com to schedule a demo or to see more information about how to set it up and things. We can contact ourselves as well. So thank you very much for your time.